I'm gonna show you how to do make for the wedding. Cause yeah. Wash your face first. And your hands. And brush your teeth. But yeah. And probably do your hair first, but start with moisturizer. Put it all over your face. Bring it down your neck. Go behind your neck too. And because you're wearing a dress, put some on your chest. Rub the rest into your hands and arms. Chapstick. I would say use Aquaphor because if you have any dry spots on your face, you can put it there first. I would also always say put it under your eyes just because it'll make you look more alive. From chapstick to primer, making your face too hydrated with product is not really a thing, especially if you're gonna wear makeup for an extended period of time. So I just used that e.l.f. Hydro Grip. I recommended the one with niacinamide for you because that's what I prefer, but I only have this one right now. Next step is if you want, you can put eye drops in, which I'm going to do. Next step is to put on some cream contour bronzer. And I'm just going to put this a little bit higher than we're going to place contour later. Just to bronze up the face. Go for the forehead to make it look a little bit smaller. I forget what brush set I picked out that I would recommend for you to get. Oh, that top foundation brush. I would recommend blending it out with that. And this one I would just keep higher on your face. I wouldn't blend this out too much and connecting it up to your forehead. And it's just gonna help make it look like you got a facelift. Next is going to be e.l.f. Halo Glow, so that you have that like lit from within look. If you want this to build a little bit of coverage so it's not a very light coverage look, you can let it sit for a couple minutes, which I don't personally do because I like a little bit more of a lighter look. Also, with the same thing, because it's just going to sheer this out, you can use it with the cream bronzer on there so that it just makes you look a little bit darker if you do end up getting a spray tan. Blending this out for a super light coverage look. Just simply blending that out. And looking oily at this step makes sense because you just put on primer and moisturizer and glowy thing. So you're gonna look slightly glittery and oily, normal. And then after that, we are going to go in with the most skin tone or fake tan color to hide your imperfections. So we're going to cover up any acne scars or any active acne. Literally can't see this part of my face because of the glare from the window. And any spots that you want to cover. So our next step we're gonna let this sit for about 10 minutes so that it builds up the coverage, and I'll be back. The 10 minutes is up and it's gotten significantly darker outside, so I'm now relying on the flash, which is always fun. But I'm grabbing a concealer brush, your finger, and or the sponge. I'm gonna prefer to use the brush for more coverage with blending these out, tapping out the edges, and then patting the top of it. Also, while this concealer sits on your face for 10 minutes without getting moved, touched, blended, set, whatever you want to call it, it will oxidize just the top layer, but the second you start to move it around again, it will blend back to its normal color. And I'm doing a kind of look where most of your bare skin is showing, because I know you don't like heavy foundation. I also don't like heavy foundation these days. Like, it'll work the same using your finger as it will as a brush, but if you use a sponge, it'll soak up the product. Where if you use your finger, you could just simply tap over the entire thing and it'll cover it. I like that using the brush, it disperses the product a little farther out, which you can do with your finger too, but actually kind of, I will say it is easier using your finger. I'm going to save this one for last, which I honestly even forgot to put concealer on filming that part of the video, because I'm just so used to doing my makeup a different way, so then you can always just see it through it. But these are my most recent tips, tricks, hacks. Normal concealer for under your eyes, lifting, brightening, lightest concealer that I suggested. Yep. But this, oh, I forgot to blend this spot out. Directly here, up here, next to the tails of your eyebrows. People will go down here with the lightest shade. No, go higher, and then it'll make you look like you got a facelift. And then your medium fair beige, go there, between your eyebrows, the tip of your nose, above your lip, and your chin. Also notice all the high spots on your face. Going back in with a brush or your sponge, whatever you want. Going into the fair beige. First, that mid-tone. Grabbing a sponge, some setting spray, or just wet your sponge before. Flat side of your beauty blender, wet, and then blend out all of your fair beige. Let the lighter colors work, melt together. I'm going to use a liquid lipstick because I can't find my cream blush, but I would definitely recommend a cream blush. Mine right now is more of like a pinky coral tone, but I definitely added a more mauve color for yours, just because you are a little bit paler than me. And just right under the concealer, a little bit higher, so that it makes your face look skinnier and just more glam, if you want to call it. And then the tip of the bottom part of the tip of your nose, and then it just makes you look more alive. And that's pretty much that for blush for now, besides just blending this out and together. So put this concealer and try to blend it up onto the top of your eyelid a little bit. Doesn't really matter because we're gonna put more concealer on our eyelids in a second for eyeshadow. Helps the entire illusion of dragging your eyes up, out, and making your face look skinnier. So all of the concealer is blended out. Now with setting spray, this is just setting spray. Spray your entire face with a light mist, I guess you could say, to really hydrate the skin, to blend it all together so it all just melts, so it looks like you're not really wearing makeup, but everybody's gonna know you're wearing makeup because you can't make makeup look like skin. Lightly tapping everything in just so it all melts, and farther pushing this into your skin, to each other, and just living your best life. Powder time. With powder, I would pour it into your hand, about this much. If you put it into your hand, it'll warm the powder up, it'll press into your face better. Look like this, and like, tilt your head down, look into the mirror so that your under eyes don't crease, and bake with a sponge. Put some on your forehead, your chin, your smile lines, and then just wipe the powder away because you used all of it. Grabbing a bigger brush, a fluffier brush, to just wipe away around your mouth and your forehead so that you don't get flashback later. Under your eyes is fine because it's not going to be there because that's where it's going to soak in the most, because that's where you have the most product. Getting a little bit more powder, you can put this in your hand or just like on a table, desk, flat surface, whatever you want. Back with the big brush and set the rest of your face so that you're a little bit more matte, but the more you are wearing your makeup, the longer it can soak in, set in, some of your natural oils will come out, and it'll have a very nice and radiant finish. And with a big brush like this, a smaller brush like this, or a contour brush like this, grab the quad that I sent you, except my blushes are missing. So grab this contour shade. So when you're gonna do your contour to make your face look as best as you can, you're gonna imaginarily draw a line from here to here, from the corner of your eye to the corner of your mouth, and then from the side of your nose to your ear, and kind of just like figure out like right about here. So we're gonna go upwards and towards our ear and drag down very lightly down to here. Make sure you tap there, and then it'll just kind of continue the illusion of cheekbones. Don't go too heavy-handed, otherwise it's going to ruin the effect of this. If you're doing an updo, I would be very careful around your hairline to not go too dark. If you're keeping your hair down, you can go a little bit farther down your forehead so it doesn't look as fake. If you are also doing a updo and you want to fill in some of the sparse parts of your hairline, I would suggest grabbing the eyebrow powder and a eyebrow brush or an angled brush, whatever you want to call it. Pulling all of your baby hairs back. Just pretty much shading this part in, dragging it back with the spoolie, lifting your baby hairs, and then go a little bit harsher. And it just fills it in a little bit, and then it just gives you the illusion of a full hairline. Now, if you want, you can grab an eyeshadow brush and either a darker eyeshadow from the palette I suggested to you, which is kind of the same color story as this palette, where it's all just like the natural nude browns. We're probably going to use this cooler tone brown, this warmer tone brown, maybe this brown, and maybe some black if we're going crazy. But I would go in with the cool toned, the most cool tone brown. And I would just go slightly through just the curve of the contour. But using a cooler tone will create more of a shadow. But also this is slightly darker, so then it'll just really push your cheeks in. And also, if you want, if you think you can do it, I'll show you the correct way to give yourself a little button nose. Line under, line above the tip of your nose. Try to round those out to just create a little bulbous shape on the tip of your nose. Go up into your eyebrows and then slightly drag it inwards on the top, not the sides. You're just going to completely give yourself a fake nose bridge. And then going back in with that eyeshadow, if you want, you could deepen up the sides, and then it'll just look a little bit more real. And then tapping and dragging down your nose, same with around here, and then with some powder in your pinky. Make sure you use a finger for this and not a brush, so that the warmth from your finger is going to melt that powder into the tip of your nose. And then since we did contour our nose, we're going to go in with powder and your sponge and bake your nose. Another way to do this is to grab a larger brush, put bronzer on top of your whole nose, and then do this powder, and then it should give you the same illusion. Okay, so the next step is going to be powder blush. So either with a brush like this or a brush like this, tap into the darker pink of that palette. So like this color, go high, melt that into your hairline, yet still drag it down into that contour. This is also to help with the facelift look. With the same brush, go into the lighter shade, which I do still have. It is just broken into very small pieces. So tap into that and really just from the bottom of your eye and up and around and just diffuse that into your skin. I'm tapping the chunks out of the brush from this broken blush. I would say with ColourPop blushes, they're super pigmented. If you layer them, they're not going to be super pigmented if you don't layer them per se. So yeah, that's how I would say to apply that. And then if you want, you can just tap the lighter pink in areas that you find that you are too yellow, because if you do it very lightly, then the pink tone will cancel out the yellow tone, which I don't know why that is, but it is. And pink's also a brightening color when it comes to makeup for the most part. I am going to put a little bake on my forehead because I find that that's where I weirdly oxidize the most, because that's the oiliest part of my face. So I just bake that a little bit. And then we are going to go on to our eyebrows, which I think I recommended the Morphe like brow kit. So it's a pencil, a pomade, a powder, and I think the brush and maybe a liquid gel, but I don't know. We're not going to use the liquid gel unless you want to use that for your hair to lay down your baby hairs. But yes, so grabbing a spoolie, potted gel, not the liquid gel, we are going to dip in and then scrape the excess, applying this gel from tail to, like from the tail of your brow to the front of your brow. You could dip in a couple times if you want to, if you don't want to put a lot of product on the first time. Okay, and now we're just going to leave our eyebrows like this for a minute or two so that the gel can set up, and then when we press it down, like to where it needs to go, it'll stay like that, so that you don't have to mishap and shape your brow wrong or fill it in wrong. God forbid, because that would literally suck. You filled it in, and then put the gel in, and then your brow hairs didn't lay where you intended them to be. So then from your tail, start slowly brushing it back and pushing it kind of flat to the skin, and then they'll stay like that more securely. And then in the front of your brow, just kind of go like this now on an angle, flat to your face. Push the brow hairs down. And then drag your brush across the top and down. Don't press too hard to remove the makeup under it, but just enough so that it looks good. Okay, So now we're going to structure the brow. You're going to want to either rub it on the back of your hand until you get it to a slant like this. Or you're just going to want to rub it on like a paper towel or a piece of toilet paper. Okay, I'm going to get close for this because that's just what I do. Go from your tail, your arch. Bring that down, drag it out towards your tail. Drag slightly past your tail. Too, because with concealer, it'll most likely get pushed away. And then with the flatter part of the point, rub in at the tail of your brow. And just kind of fluff that out. And then just fill in any sparse areas. And then continue to brush and shape to the way that you like your brows. I personally like the front of my brow a little fluffier, which I know you don't like, but there's to each your own. And then with the pointy part, again, you are going to pretend to draw some brow hairs in the front to just fill your brow in. There we go. Brow done. Your brows are now done for the most part. Be very precise. Carve out a little bit of an arch. Kind of just go straight out. Grabbing your concealer brush, being as careful as you can. Just blending that towards the front of your brow and down and in. Back with a different look because it's a different day because I hated the eyeshadow that I did. Just prime your eyelid. Grabbing the big fluffy brush and the contour shade from the palette. I'm just going to keep this quite high to your eyebrow just to kind of continue on with the nose contour that you did. And then just really winging this out towards your hairline into where your blush would be. And then going in with a thinner, denser, fluffy brush. We're going to go into the dark brown shade. And then just slightly angle this up like an eyeliner, and then in, really just winging it up, going back in with that fluffy brush and blending it all out and together. And then I would say with an even smaller brush, dipping into an even darker brown shade, just fill in your eyelid part of it. And I'm just using a small little packing brush just to help make that color as intense as possible, continuing to blend it in towards, but not all the way to the front. So about halfway I would blend it, and then just start blending it up and out to just give your eye a more open, winged out look. Leave this look here. Grab some concealer on your finger, put it in the middle, blend towards the front for a nice wide open look that is still matte. And then I would just set this with powder, or you could go in with the highlighter, really build that on there. If you want it to be a little bit more bright, spray it with setting spray. I would gently tap this in here for more of a pigmented half cut crease, but still blown out on the top edge a little bit, so it's a little bit more messy. And you could even bring it and fade it out that way, but you're gonna go back in with your packer brush anyways and just blend them together a little bit more. You could add a wing to this. I would not suggest that because it's going to be a pain in the ass to match wings. Going in with that super dark shade on the packing brush, kind of going from your bottom lash line and winging it up, kind of like a liner would work if you wanted even just the illusion of a wing. And then with your dense fluffy brush with the middle dark shade, or the middle brown shade that I pointed to, start to blend this out. Don't go too far down. And then if you just want it to be super blend it out, I would go in with that super light brown if you would like. And end off with the contour shade. I brought that a little bit too far down, so be careful of that. And then you could elevate your look with putting a navy blue liner in your waterline. Just like this, which looks so much better than the one I did last night. And it kind of still also opens your eye while closing it a little bit to make it a little bit more sultry of a look. But it's also still such a simple look. You could replace this blue with a white and it'll make your eyes look even bigger, which I just don't have any white eyeliner at the minute. So yeah, now I'm going to show you how to do your other eye if you want to do a different kind of look. Different eyeshadow look, still start off with priming your eyes. So this one, we're going to go for slightly more smoky, darker, going in with the darkest brown shade all over the lid. Grabbing the dense fluffy brush, the slightly lighter brown shade, blending the dark color out wider. This one I wouldn't wing out as much. You could even stick to more of a round shape, but I am going to slightly just wing it out. Just not as much as you did with this one. More of a softer wing outward to lift your eye up a little bit. Or just not as noticeable. A angled brush into black, I would as tightly line your eye as possible, not going all the way in or all the way out, just kind of doing the inside just to help open your eye slightly. Grabbing some more. right in the middle, darkest brown shade. Going all the way through and slightly under the black. Grabbing your dense fluffy brush, middle brown, lightest brown, tapping that off. Blending that down a little bit farther. And then what I would do is I would grab some of your loose powder, dip into that. Could also go in with your highlighter. And just put the highlighter there. And then here, since there's not really any shine in the eyeshadow, I would also highlight your brow bone. Okay, time for your third eyeshadow look, if you don't like the first two. Nose contour. Okay. Going in with the contour. Just tap this out. Tap this out on your outer third. Okay, so what you just saw me do was putting a little bit darker of a shade there on the outer corner. So this shade, this look, you're really gonna play off of your nose contour, and this as the placement highlighter, and you're just kind of gonna just lightly put it all over your eyelid and work it up towards your eyebrow, and just a much simpler look. This one, I would suggest a dark brown, little line like that. Just a super small little wing, which is perfect. And then continue to set that in with dark brown eyeshadow. You could smudge it out if you want. I would not suggest blending and smoking it out just because it's already such a light eyeshadow look. And then going in with a dark brown eyeshadow. Just blend out your outer third / half with dark brown, going in with your fluffy brush and the contour shade that you just used for here, and just lightly blending that all the way in from your outer third to halfway under your eye, and leaving the inside pretty much blank of product, and just flaring it out. This is a much simpler look besides the eyeliner, but yeah, that's what I would say to do for this eyeshadow look. Some eyelash spikes. I picked you out different spikes. These are all I have at the moment. Otherwise, I would definitely use the spikes that I suggested for you. Fashion way of with glue. And you could do mascara first. I personally like doing this first. because then I think they just look better when you put mascara on a fake lash to blend your natural lashes in. Put one of the longest spikes in the middle of your eye because it's going to open it the most. And then putting a long one on an angle on the outside of your eye. Help flare it out. Not on such a super angle, but just like you did with the eyeliner on like this side, if you were going to do this or whatever, just follow that out. And it'll just extend your eye. This will also add some dimension into your look. This is where I'm putting the longest on in the middle. And then if you can, just go top and bottom and sandwich your eyelash band closer to your eyelashes. That would be best case scenario. Or just getting them so flat to your eyelashes that you don't need to do anything else. And then I would suggest curling your eyelashes and the fake eyelashes together. I actually think a half lash would probably look and feel the best on your eye, which is kind of what I just created here. And then suggest a black mascara. I would try to keep your bottom lashes not too heavily saturated in product, but your top front ones, I would also try to leave wispier, but I would kind of spider them a little bit. I'm just gonna use 2 different mascaras on my top lashes because one really lengthens them and one just really makes them so totally black. Because like this part up here is a fake lash, but this is my natural lash, so I think that would look the best. Even just completely let the front of your eyelashes dry now. Try to not touch them to your face. Go with tweezers or an eyebrow spoolie or an eyelash comb and go in and just separate them without poking your eye out. And then for lip combos, I would say take a dark cherry red, slightly line your lips, okay, or take a pink nude, clearly I love this one. With the nude one, I would slightly overline your top and bottom lip, and I blend that out with my finger. I prefer not a super, what's the word? A super clean look. When it comes to a nude lip, a nude matte lip, keep it at this step. I would suggest a super shimmery gloss just to complement your highlighter, your eyeshadow, and keep it looking fresh and fly. For the red side, I would just say put the gloss, blend it together so it shears out towards the center of your lips. And then your lips will look plump and juicy and reflect sunlight. But with the red lip, I would definitely keep it cleaner to your lip versus this side where it's more blown out a little bit, I would say. And then set your face with setting spray. That should be everything. If you want to add a slight bit more blush, because your face will eat the blush, that is perfectly okay. So here's the little slight bit more dramatic look. Here's more the sexy sultry look, I guess you could say. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look greasy. It doesn't look oily. It's not super heavy. I would say, honestly, the heaviest part of this entire look is the lipstick and the eyelash. The rest of the makeup, honestly, is so light because there's not a ton of it, because you're not starting with an entire cake layer of foundation and then adding concealer and every other product. I would say that's it. I tried to make it as easy as it was to follow for you, so I hope you like it. Bye.